Jennifer here with our October budget. For those of you who are watching on Premiere Day, you're going to be like, but it's October 30th. How can you do your budget before the month is out? So some of you, I think, watch Q Paul's videos, and he explains the 15th and the 30th of each month and how Mexicans get paid and the lineups in stores and banks, etc. When we lived in Merida, I didn't really experience this. I always went to the BBVA bank in Harbor Mall, and Harbor Mall is not busy ever, no matter what day of the week it is, no matter what time of the year it is. It's not busy, probably because there's more closed stores than open stores. So I didn't really matter what day of the week that I went to the bank there when we lived in Merida. But our first month here in Progreso, I went at the end of the month, and the bank was packed. There's only one BBVA here in Progreso, and it was packed. And I asked the girl, there's always somebody at the door giving you a number to wait. I asked her how long I'll wait, and she's like, half hour. And I didn't have time for that. I had to work. I had gone to the bank before work. So I didn't get money that day. We ended up going all the way into Merida to the bank to get money to avoid that big rush. So we thought, we're not going to keep doing this every month. We're not going to drive into Merida every time we need to get money out of the bank for the month. So we made the decision to do our budget the 25th to the 25th of each month. So that's why we can drop this video before the month is technically over. Our fiscal month is over. And you know how I like to run my personal finances like a business budget. So Daryl will, of course, put a copy of our budget. Okay, guys. So our total budget for the month was 88,680 pesos. So still much higher than what is typical for us, but lower than last month. So we'll go over a couple of the items that were unusual. We had the first maintenance on our car, which is kind of funny because Dodge kept telling us you don't need a service until 10,000 kilometers, and we kept looking at our odometer, and it was like not even 5,000 kilometers, and we're like, and then the engine light came on, or the service light, not the engine light, the service light came on, or we call them like, we really should be bringing this car in. So we had our first service, and then learned that we had it on trip odometer the entire time. So we actually had 9,000 and some kilometers. So we did get it in, but we got it in on time for our 10,000 kilometer, our first service. So that was 2,245 pesos. I do allow 1,000 pesos per month in our budget for car maintenance. So we've had it since April, so we're looking like 6, 7, 8 months of accumulating, 1,000 pesos, so that more than covers it. Again, this is a pink item, so I'm not taking the cash out for car maintenance each month. I'm just kind of allowing room in the budget for car maintenance. We had no vet visits as we normally do. The plan was to put CC on meds for 4 weeks and then do some tests over again to decide if he can undergo anesthetic. And I am giving him the meds, but I did not do the tests over again. We've decided, no matter how his heart's doing, it's not going to repair itself. He's had one murmur, one heart murmur his entire life, and now he has 3. So, but we've made the decision not to put him under anesthetic. His heart's not strong enough, and he's getting up there in age. So we are not going to put him under anesthetic. It's a loose tooth. We can deal with infections as they come up. It will eventually fall out on its own. Unfortunately, we can't get the rest of his teeth cleaned either. But I think that his heart is more important than his teeth. So that's the decision we made, and I will retest again eventually because I want to see if his heart is getting better, but it won't change our decision about not putting him under anesthetic. Another big expense was I had some blood work done. I wanted my thyroid checked. I was getting it checked every year in Canada, so I wanted to get it checked again, and I find that laboratory work and medicine here in Mexico was very expensive, so that was 1,300 pesos. And then I went on a shopping spree for 2,000 pesos, so I don't know, like a little over $100 or something. I don't know, whatever that is. $140. And I bought some clothing and items, which I normally buy through personal purchases, but I don't normally buy things every month, so that those personal purchases usually go towards, I don't know, dining out or groceries or whatever we need the money for. So I bought some gifts and some clothing items for myself and some self-care products, that sort of thing, which I don't normally do, and I'll probably only do it once a month or once every 6 months or something. And then the big ticket item was Daryl's hearing aids for 30,000 pesos. And we bought them here in Costco in Merida, which is probably, if we stayed in Canada, where we would have bought them because they're significantly cheaper. We did look into what it would cost at a hearing place that's not Costco, and was surprised to find that they were pretty much the same as back home in Canada. So 30,000 pesos is what they wanted for one hearing aid at this other place, and we ended up spending that on two. So that is equal to $2,000 for both hearing aids. Daryl's loving them when he remembers to put them in. I think it takes some getting used to, but we're both much happier people when he's wearing them. Oh, and the parking ticket. Last item is the parking ticket. I had to run to the bank. A friend of mine needed a favor, so I had to take an extra trip to the bank this month. And Daryl was busy, so I drove there myself, and I parked on the street behind tons of other cars and ran into the bank, and it was super busy. It was not the 15th or 30th, but it was like a half-hour wait. And so I waited. I got some money out. So I ran into the bank. I had to wait a half hour, and when I came out, I was in a hurry. I had to meet a friend, and I was running a little bit behind. So I jumped in my car and I started driving, and then when I was waiting at a red light, I noticed there was a piece of paper sticking out under my wiper. Oh, great. I got a ticket. But I was driving, so I just kept driving, and then when I stopped, I pulled out this obviously parking ticket. I mean, I could not read enough Spanish that I knew it was a parking ticket, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure out where to pay it or how much it was or anything like that. So of course we're like, oh my gosh, and then we find out. So after I was done meeting my friend, I was headed back home. So I'm driving down Calle 19 in Chicxulub, and the cops pulled me over, and I thought, they took my license plate, didn't they? So yeah, sure enough, the cop comes to my window, and I just hand him the parking ticket that I just received, and he's like, oh, okay. And I said, where do I pay it? And he goes, oh, I'll just Google this name and you'll find where to pay it. And I said, well, how much is it? He goes, I don't know. They're going to have to tell you. Okay. And then they took a picture of my ticket. So I don't know. I have no idea if they took a picture of my car too. Like, that's possible. So I'm thinking they did that so they would share it with other cops. So they know that why I don't have a license plate on the back of my car. But they were super nice and no problem. So I didn't have far to go. I mean, we lived just off of Kaye 19, so through town, and then I told Daryl what happened, so we're like, okay, we gotta go get our plates. So we hop in the car and we drive to the other side of Progresso to pay it, and I hand him the parking ticket, and he says, I don't have it yet. I don't have your plate yet. Well, of course, because I just got the ticket. So we're like, okay, so we wasted our time getting there, but that's okay. And I made sure he was open Saturday. He said yes, and I said, but not Sunday. He goes, no, we're open Sunday. I'm like, okay. So we were busy Saturday, so we didn't end up going to pick it up on Saturday or paying it. So we went on Sunday, and before we did that, we had our Mexican friend call and ask in Spanish, what do I need? Do I need copies of anything? How much is it? And they pretty much just told them, just show up. We'll let you know what you need and how much it's going to cost. Okay. So we show up, and I'm waiting. Like, there was somebody at, like, you press this little buzzer, like a doorbell, and somebody opens the window when you do that. But on Sunday they didn't do that, and I probably waited there like a half hour, and there was somebody else waiting, so they there's another window for other things, and they asked them, is there somebody working this window? And they're like, yeah, there's somebody there, just wait. Okay, so we ended up waiting like a half hour, and in the end they had my license plate, and the fine was 400 pesos. Now on the ticket it says if you pay it within 15 days you get a 50% discount. If it on your first offense. If it's your second offense, you get a 25% discount. If it's your third offense or more, you do not get any kind of discount. So not being able to determine how much that ticket is, I can't tell you if I got that discount, because they're so mum about how much a parking ticket is. So I even searched the expat groups and stuff for information on parking tickets and how much they might cost, and I found nothing, just nothing. So, and as far as parking on that street, like I say, we always park there, but I always run in and I run out, and I'm really quick, and Daryl's in the car. This is the first time I've had to wait in that bank, well, other than the time that I just left and didn't wait. They say don't park in yellow zones, but every zone is yellow and there's tons of cars parked around. So I have not figured out the parking in Progresso. So that is our budget for October. Just to recap, it was 88,680 pesos, or 6,100 Canadian dollars, and 4,478 US dollars. Again, some extra expenses that we will never ever have again, or infrequently. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I want to thank you for getting us over 1,000 subscribers. It's a great milestone to reach, and we're so appreciative to each and every one of you for getting us there. I look forward to the next 1,000 as well. Adios, amigos.